This is the closest I'm getting to time travel. Hey there, viewer, Ron speaking, and today I'm going to be talking about the fact that I bought a PS2 recently. Because, why not? I got nothing else going on this channel. Now, there's two major reasons why I even picked this thing up in the first place. One, I've always had a thing for older media like this ever since I was a little kid. Like, it was 2011 and I was still watching VHS tapes. I had CDs, I didn't use them much, but I had them. And I always watched media that was older than I was, like Tom and Jerry or Looney Tunes, which I guess most kids did, but also things like Cat Dog and Ed, Edd n Eddy, shows that were way over by the time I started watching them. I've always just liked older things, and then ever since I got into video games, I always wanted to try older systems, but, me being 11, I wasn't able to just blow $500 on an original Xbox. Not like anyone cares about the original Xbox right now. So I was going on eBay, because I finally had my own money to blow on this sort of stuff, and I was actually originally going to get a GameCube, but the games for those are like $90 each. So there was absolutely no way I was going to keep just trying to find GameCube games that I was never going to afford. And I assume it's because the GameCube didn't sell that well, so there's not as many loose games just floating around. And that means that people are they're in higher demand. As for the PlayStation 2, the best-selling video game console of all time, I mean, everybody had this thing, so they're just giving them away, kinda. So yeah, I bought this, counting off of eBay and including shipping, it was around $130, so not too bad for a console. And it came with this specific memory card. This is my first time using memory cards. It's really not that complicated as I thought it'd be. It's just a USB, essentially. 8 megabytes, which I thought was pretty small until I found out the game file sizes are only a couple kilobytes. So, that's neat. And yeah, I'm experiencing this for the first time, but there are people who have memories of this thing from 20 years ago. And that's just weird to me. But yeah, it's so surreal to finally own something that's this old. Something that's before I was born. This was the peak of gaming back then. So, yeah, it's just a used console at the end of the day, but I really feel like I own a piece of history here now. So, you might be wondering, what games did I get for it? Well, these are the 4 games that came with the thing I bought. We got Stuntman, Tony Hawk Project 8, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Resident Evil 4, except not really Resident Evil 4, because the guy only included the stupid making of DVD and a memory card holder, which is barely bigger than the memory card itself, so that's useless. And then, what do I do with this? It's just a DVD, I can't play this. So, a bit of a rip-off there, but I'm not really into Resident Evil in general, and there's a million ways to play it on modern systems anyway, including a full-blown remake and remasters, so... Okay, next we got Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't know much of Metal Gear Solid. I like playing as him in Smash Bros, but that's about it. But I definitely want to give this game a try. I've been trying... throughout most of my gaming life, I stuck to Nintendo and Nintendo-adjacent games like Mario and Kirby and such. But recently I've been trying out some more hardcore AAA titles. Like, I've tried the first Bioshock, and I'm really enjoying that. Doom Eternal I bought. I haven't gotten very far in it, but, more serious, I guess, more of the cult classic, or greatest games of all time, as people have been saying. So, yeah, I'll definitely get around to this one. Next, we got Tony Hawk Project 8, from what I hear is one of the lesser Tony Hawk games. But, I have enjoyed I didn't really play most of the Tony Hawk games until I got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 a couple months ago, and I really enjoyed those. So, yeah, I played around with this game a little bit. Haven't gone too far, but I'll definitely give this one another shot. And this game I've never heard of at all, Stuntman. I popped it in, and I just straight up don't understand it. And I can't imagine when I'm going to be playing this very much. But those are the games that came with the PlayStation 2. The ones that I bought for them. I have very particular interests. Okay, let's take this one at a time. First off, the very first game that I personally bought with it was Tom and Jerry War of the Whiskers. I'm sure I've gone over this before, but I've been a Tom and Jerry fan my whole life, ever since I was like 3 years old, as early as I can remember. And as a kid, I kept watching YouTube videos about both this and Fists of Fury, and really wanted to play them, because they captured the Tom and Jerry feel absolutely perfectly. But I didn't understand the concept of video game consoles at that point, so I kept trying to find them online, thinking they were like really souped up Flash games. I quickly learned what game consoles were, and I still didn't own one until around 2015. My first video game console was the Wii U. Surprisingly, I didn't get bullied that much for it. Yeah, so this game lingered in my mind, thinking I'll never play it, but, I basically bought this to just fulfill a childhood dream. And, yeah, it's not the deepest game out there, it won't last you very long, but it's just a fun fighter that, again, it feels like you're playing through a Tom and Jerry short, and most of those are just senseless violence. And, yeah, that's exactly what this game is. I still find it funny that this game is rated T, because, by all accounts, it should be rated E10+, but that rating didn't exist when this game came out, so it's funny to see Tom and Jerry on the same level as, what's a T-rated? I don't know, I don't know a whole lot of T-rated games, because everything is either E or M today. There's not a lot of T-rated games out there now. But, yeah, and this came with all the manual, including this, DC comic that I haven't actually read through yet, but that's pretty cool. Nice little preservation there, I guess. And, two things. This did come with, well, it didn't come with, rather I bought it with this memory card that has 256 megabytes. Again, I thought that was pretty small until I saw the file sizes and realized that with this thing, I never have to buy another memory card ever again. Also, this specific game came with this little card. Thank you so much. Thanks you so much for your purchase. I hope you are overly happy with your purchase. If you could leave me a review, it would mean the world to me and my business. Less than 1% of people leave a review on Amazon, making it very difficult to be successful. God bless you and your family. Brady. I've still not written a review. So, hopefully a shout out in a YouTube video that barely anybody will watch will suffice. 1337 Games. Christian owned, one-man business, Ohio based. I got this from the land of Scott the Woz himself. Next up, we got these two Monster Jam games, and it's a very similar case with the Tom and Jerry game. I watched these all the time. I was a massive Monster Jam fan as a kid. I mean, I can't think of anything more 7-year-old boy than Monster Trucks, and that's exactly what I was like. I actually plan on making a video at some point about my childhood obsessions, just all the major things I was into. I know there's a Haminations video of that exact subject, but I mainly got inspired by that because of the Scott the Woz childhood games video, except I didn't have a lot of actual video games in my childhood, so I thought going through my main interests around that time would be pretty fun. I haven't started that video yet, but hopefully it'll come out in the future. But yeah, Monster Jam was a really big one, and I watched videos of both of these games all the time. This one's very crusty. I got this for like $6 used, and you can tell it's used. Ugh, looks like a monster truck drove over it. And yeah, these two are fairly fun racing games. I mainly like the racing part. The stadium racing is probably the worst part. I cannot understand that. But yeah, it's just fun, dumb nonsense, and that's exactly what Monster Trucks should be. I don't know, it's just finally nice to own these games that I've looked at from a distance so many years ago. And yeah, I don't care if I'm too old for these. The games are games. Who cares? Lastly, we got these two SpongeBob games, and these are somewhat in the same boat, but much later in my life. So, I wasn't allowed to watch SpongeBob for a good part of my childhood, from age 6 up to age 14. Mainly because I was copying the cartoony antics they do on the show. Like, in that episode, The Graveyard Shift, where SpongeBob, there's a gag where he's eating his hands. I kept trying to do that, and there's another one where he like stored things in his pants, and I kept trying to do that, and Mom didn't want me accidentally hurting myself, so she banned me from that. She banned me from Tom and Jerry for a bit for the same reason. So yeah, in 14, the ban was finally lifted, and I started catching up on all the SpongeBob I had missed. I finally understanding all the memes. And I like the show, I wouldn't call it a major favorite of mine. But I also watched tons of videos of these two games, to the point where I actually got the remake of Battle for Bikini Bottom. Okay, well first I got on the Switch, but my younger brother also had Fortnite on it for a while, and that was eating up all the memory. I kept having to delete games just so this little grubby little brat could be happy, thanks Jeremy. So I deleted that, and then eventually got it on the Xbox, because I needed an excuse to use the thing. Okay, somebody gave us an Xbox One for Christmas, but we still didn't use it much for a while until I got this. But there were lots of people being critical of the way the game looked and played, so I figured it'd be good to try the original. They're more or less the same, but I think this one has a better art direction. This one, it looks good, but it's very plastic looking. And as for the movie game, well, it'd just be weird to have one and not the other, if that makes sense. Additionally, the thing obviously came with this controller, and yeah, it's even though I mostly used to monitor controllers, the PlayStation controllers have always been very consistent, so this still feels very familiar to me. It's just not as big in the middle, because I have a PlayStation 4 as well. Yeah, I'm immune to console wars. I have one of everything. Well, two of everything now, but you get what I mean. But additionally, I committed the gamer's sin and bought an unofficial, well, a third-party controller. But I'm pretty sure this was made in the modern day, not from 20 years ago, because this feels way more substantial than this. But that's only because this is around 20 years old. This is only a couple years old, I think. And yeah, I actually prefer using this one. I'm a very serious gamer, let me tell you. No, I'm not. I bought the SpongeBob games. I'm not a serious gamer. It's a hobby, not a job for me. So I play what I want and with what I want. You get what I mean. So what else do I plan to get for this thing? Well, I have a Fairly Odd Parents game from eBay coming. Okay, but for real, I do plan on getting some real video games for it. Like, I really want to try the Ratchet & Clank games. So far, I just have the PS4 remake, or reimagining of the first one, and I didn't even get that far. I've only completed the tutorial level, or like the first 2 levels. I haven't gotten that far into this. This thing can also play PS1 games, so obviously with PS1, the first thing people think of is Crash Bandicoot, but I have literally all the Crash Bandicoot games I could want on my Xbox. This feels wrong, but hey, that's how things worked out. Spyro games, same thing, heavily associated with the PlayStation 1, but I have the remake of them on the PlayStation 4. This doesn't feel as wrong. I want to try out the first Killzone game. I don't have any version of Killzone. And then the first one was only released on PS2, the rest of them on PS3. But yeah, those games seem very interesting, and I'm getting more into hardcore games, so that's definitely one I want to try. The Sly Cooper games, except those ones are very pricey, so we'll see if we ever get a hold of them. I definitely want to try Rayman 1 and 2, because I really like the Rayman games, the Origins and Legends, as well as Rayman 3, which I have on the Xbox. It's digital, so I can't really show it. Well, I'll try to show a picture. But I'm only willing to try Rayman 1 because I've heard it's one of the most gruelingly difficult games ever made. And I just want to try it just to see how hard it really is. And Rayman 2 is just because, well, I heard it's the best Rayman game. I mean, they released it on everything. It's got to be good. I guess I could get some of the early Call of Duty games. Except I don't think I've touched a Call of Duty ever since, like, I was really young and I'd go to friends' houses who had it. My brother got Call of Duty World War II, but that's really it. There's some Sonic games on it, but I've never been the biggest Sonic guy. I've tried getting into the games. I've really tried. I have Sonic Mania here, and I've tried Sonic 1 and 2 on multiple platforms and multiple times, and I just can never get into it. So why do I have this plushie from David Buster's? And why is this plushie so high quality? I don't get it. So, ultimately, I have a lot of plans for this big guy. Yes, I went with the fat model, not the slim model. This is the cheapest one I could find that was the NTSC version. All the cheap ones that I could find that were like 70 bucks were from Japan, so nothing would work on this thing. And also, this is the only one I could, for that price, that had all the cables that came with it. A lot of them were console only, and there was no way I was going to buy separate cables, so this came with all that. And while I would have liked getting the GameCube, it's just not worth blowing $100 every game. And to be honest, a lot of GameCube games are being re-released on the Switch anyway, so yeah, I think I'll be fine. To end things off, I just want to show it actually running on my TV. I've got 4 consoles plugged in at once here. I am very lucky this thing hasn't caught fire yet. Yeah, see here. Yeah, this is. If for some reason somebody is trying to prove that I'm lying, nope, I have a thing right here. It's working. And yeah, just to show off that I've tried out all the games that I've bought so far. See a bit of a reflection of me there. And here are the 2 memory cards. What I especially like is how they have their little icon. Again, the Monster Hammer with Assault, Battle for Bikini Bottom, the movie game, Tom and Jerry, some of the Stuntman stuff that I tried out, and I don't think I'm gonna touch that game again. I can't get into that one, I'm sorry. First Monster Jam and Tony Hawk Project 8. I'll get around to Metal Gear Solid 2. I'll get around to that. Well, with that, I just want to say I'm having plenty of fun with this thing. And just let this be a lesson to you. You don't always have to play the latest and greatest video games. Everybody's saying that gaming isn't fun anymore, and that it's too over-commercialized. That all may be true, but there's plenty of great games waiting for you. And you just might have to go back a few generations and have $130 lying around, but hey, these games get re-released and put on digital stores a lot, so yeah. You know, maybe the most mainstream game, the quadruple A games that Ubisoft is calling them, maybe they're just not for you. Maybe you need to just take a chance on something really simple. And who knows, you might discover some strange things, like why is the SpongeBob game as good as it is? Who knows? It is weird to see a 2024 on something from 2001. Well, that's all I have for this. Until the next time I decide to upload. See you, viewer.